Meeting to order on Monday, October 20th, 2025. Everyone please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, thank you, Sarah. We are all good with the statement of compliance with FOIA?
Yes, sir, we are.
Perfect. And as you guys noticed, Mr. Lawson is out today, so I will be running the finance meeting in his absence. We still do meet a quorum, though. Can I have number 4, an approval for the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second that.
Or objection?
No.
This will be approved with no objection. And I see no objection on that either. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of September 15th, 2025. Tab, can I have a motion for those, please?
Yes, I read them. I'll move that they be approved.
Thank you. And a
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Brown. Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, this will also be approved with no objection. This is also approved. All right, we will move into public comment period of 15 minutes. I do not have any sign-ups, so is there anybody that did not sign up that would like to speak for public comment today? All right, we will close the public comment then and move on to reports. We'll jump into the finance report. Ms. Harriott, how are you today?
Doing good, thanks. How are you?
Doing well.
Does this work, sir?
Yeah, once she shares it.
All right. Well, we're going to start off with our year-to-date financials. This is for as of first quarter for fiscal year 26. Oh, sorry. Here are our general fund revenues. As you can see, we've not collected a whole lot so far, but we are slowly trickling in. 2% at ad valorem, 12% for licenses and permits. 19% so far for charges for services, but overall 4% for the general fund. As you recall, the general fund did increase a little bit because we have passed our budget amendment for the carryover, so we increased about a little over $200,000 in the general fund alone for carryover POs. All right, general fund expenditures. Currently to date, we have about 23% across all general government categories so far. If you have any questions, please feel free. And the next one is your enterprise funds. As you recall, we established the garage internal service fund again this fiscal year, and then we did away with solid waste, which is now back in the general fund. And then you have your stormwater, Beaufort Executive, and Hilton Head Airport. We transferred because the reason you see 67% on the garage internal service fund is because we transferred the funds for garage from Fund 4,000 over to Fund 5,000 since we were reestablishing this fund. All right.
So that was like a carryover?
Transfer.
Transfer.
Right, fund to fund transfer. All vehicles and equipment will be housed in that garage internal service fund. All right. Enterprise funds expenditures, not a whole lot of activity going on, pretty early in the fiscal year. So we've got garage at 11%, stormwater at 6%, Beaufort Executive 8%, and Hilton Head Airport at 16%. So those are your year-to-date financials. Any questions?
Any questions or discussions?
One more?
Just for me, help me, Ms. Harriott. I saw a song where in finance, the amount of $7 million.
Right. I'm going to hit that one next. I had a feeling you'd ask.
Oh, go ahead then.
Is that the next one?
Yep.
The PDF? Yeah, sorry. Separate document, sorry. All right.
Of the quarter one transfer.
Right. So that's the $7 million, Councilman Glover, that I was referring to. We took it from Fund 4,000 where we had it previously budgeted and moved it to Fund 5,000. And that is for the purchasing of vehicles and equipment that you guys approved during the budget process. We put it under finance because finance did the transfer.
Does that clear it up for you, Mr. Glover?
Oh, then you show it again in garage, so you transfer it out again or garage?
No, it just shows where it going, the third column is from, the fourth column is to.
Well, you got the dates on here. You got to
Right.
transfer out on the 1st of July, then you show it again on the August the 15th, and then you show it again on 9/13.
The August
9/3.
15th is where we split out vehicles and equipment. That's why you see that there. See that 4/9?
Transfer it in then, okay.
Right.
Okay.
I have a question on this page, if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Harriott. So first of all, I call line down. I think it's kind of hysterical. You said 96 cents. That shows you worried to the penny, but I thought that was kind of different. And then farther down the page, it's under the airport. Remind me, what's Voltaire Aviation? What is that service?
Jared?
I don't know that.
Bowler, marketing, airport marketing, sorry. Thanks, Hannah.
Airport marketing?
Correct.
Okay, and then, and just to further talk about, if you go to the bottom of the page, you have very small transfers, $8.55. That's the amount. So I think that's very nice that you take it to the penny, like your personal checkbook.
Right. I will chase a penny.
Do you have any other questions or discussion for this one?
Just a comment on the 26th of September under the fleet, $50,000.
Yes,
And it seemed that it was not
right.
appropriate, right, get it corrected.
Correct.
How often?
We transferred a purchase that you approved in the budget process for a van for DSN.
Right,
But DSN is a special revenue fund, so we took the money back from fleet and put it back in the special revenue fund where it should be.
okay. How did it get in there the first time?
Because it was a part of the initial transfer.
Gotcha, okay. Okay, thank you.
All right,
Any
Ms.
other-
Harriott, I think that answers all those questions and discussion on that. We'll move on to B then. A presentation of performance measurement plan for ATAX recipients as requested by Finance Administration and Economic Development Committee in February of 2025. And I believe this is up for presentation and discussion. Hank, how are you, buddy?
This thing's a little bit more sensitive than usual, I better
Yeah.
back up. I'm just here to kick off Rob Wells with the presentation, but this started back in February, as it says in the AIS and in the agenda item, where Dick Stewart initially came and we talked about ideas of how to quantify success or return on investment and verify numbers that are reported back for ATAX expenditures. The two sides of back in February kind of got into a long discussion. There's two things. One is measuring the actual event success, and then a more long-term big deal also is to measure the quality and maintenance and available operating hours for facilities themselves. But the most important thing that came out of that meeting was let's start measuring these events so we can see who should keep getting the funds, who might need a little bit more, or even better, who might have been successful, but because of more data that we actually collected, they could be funded, but they could also be told, hey, maybe you should do the X, Y, or Z better. And so that's why we engaged with Rob Wells from the CVB, and he will make a presentation.
Oh, I didn't have
Mr. Wells,
Yeah, I know.
how are you?
How you guys doing? Thank you. Hey, council, I think before you put in the packet, we're gonna go through this real quick, but if one of the tasks that we wanted to do and make sure that we have was we wanted to be able to, like, there's some baseline stuff that we can track. There's a lot of guesswork that goes into how an event success is measured, but the technology nowadays allows us to do. We have together a way to measure, track, but also provide insights back to the people who are applying for ATAX, but also for the committee who's awarding the ATAX and ultimately your decision at the end of the day. And there's a couple of things I want to highlight to this. And so we want to measure one of the core things that events, especially festivals, are graded upon. Is there an impact based on that on that event. One of those goes down to a basic math equation that we use in our office. If I had 1 million people that spent $1, or is it better to have one person spend $1 million? Well, impact matters. And so making sure festivals and events have a positive impact is very important. But also, is the money that's being expensed in the marketing and advertising for this, is it distinguished, is it drawing visitors from outside that radius that they were hoping to? And we put together this plan this data to be able to track that. It is mobile-based data for real-time visitor tracking. It'll also measure residents and what we call a local visitor. Those are in our county, Beaufort County, Greenville, South Carolina, nonetheless. Ultimately, that track provides for a recipient as you make. Please, I know. And I do want to applying for money. And there's no good money that's in visitor spending. That's money else to spend, right? Money is money else. Spend all on there. To provide that and put the significance on that, because we feel like if I can tell a visitor, excuse me, if I can help a festival by showcasing to them where they're spending, those people in at a great helps them make efficient spend. Obviously, it also tracks it tracks attendance. This is something I want to show, though, is something called dwell time. And you're going to hear it repeated quite a bit. Dwell time is how long someone who's attended said festival, event, attraction, or a destination as a whole. It kind of speaks to the programming. So if I have let's say, work on the program 40 long enough. Longer, to those I think a 3 different use of data, which data, and then of course is advanced travel, which handles what we call our psychographics. Kind of tells you who's coming, so we can better target those people in the future for those events. I know it's kind of quick. I'm kind of moving ahead, kind of get to the question and answer section of this, and love to take any questions at this point. Yes. Slider.
Impact.
Sure.
That
one.
Oh, on the ER, short-term
oh,
on the
in there. I don't know if he was serious or not, but I kind of am. That does kind of scare me a little bit. So can you define the mobile-based data? And because it also had location on there too, which means if their location services are on, that's what you're tracking when it pings in their location services.
And yes, I mean, that's usually, that's what we use to data, and we're not collecting this, this is coming through. One sources that we'll be utilizing will be an agreement with Life 360, which is the most common location-based service tracker that's out there. Instagram, also one of those that shares that data. Anytime you take a photo, if you go into the edit section and info, they'll show the pictures where it's taken, the time frame. But the main thing we're looking for is tracking. We're not trying to go, it doesn't go in there and start piecemealing all this data out there. What it does is it says, you're from Bluffton, South Carolina, you visited Waterfront Park, which is a geo-faced area during this time frame, during this thing. Now, where it gets sophisticated is when we start doing what we call attribution, which is knowing that we served you an ad, you saw the ad, which is on your computer, on your phone, and then you showed up in market.
Right.
And see, that gives us the ability to talk about how long it takes to advertise for a festival, where our strong spots are, where we're spending money and it's not returning, there's not a return on it. Again, you challenge the CDBs to have a return on investment for the ATAX money that you spent. In return, we want to be able to provide that to our event and attraction sponsors that come in.
So you would have agreements with Facebook, Instagram, all of them. So basically,
We just have it with the company that we would purchase.
so whichever company is collecting the data is the one that has the agreement. So when all of us here sign up for our agreements on our phone, that's in the fine print saying that we're allowing that company to have access to that information.
Yeah, if you turn it on, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's here already. So, nothing you can do about it.
You can.
I mean, I'll be honest. I guess my question is to the rest of the council then. How much information is this? How much benefit are we really going to get from this information by tracking the location of our residents in and out of Beaufort County?
I think the information is out there. We just basically compiling it
That's correct.
and giving it back to us. So I'm, you would probably not track me as much, but you will definitely track my wife, who was with me.
We are actually not tracking any individual
I know
whatsoever. It's based on the geocodes that we look for. The data we serve based on what parameters we give, for that event, festival, wherever.
So you create that geofence based on the event.
That's correct. So when you have an event in, say, Bluffton, it's in a park, we would geofence that park, and then the data would be collected based on who entered that marketplace.
No, I don't have a problem with it. I know the data's out there, the technology's out there. It frightens me. I try to stay away from AI, but it's something that we're going to have to embrace as we move forward. And I think we have, with that information, we can better plan. I agree with that. But I don't want to, I hope council will just use this as a tool in their funding cycle and not absolute, because there are festivals or events that has an opportunity to build, and we need to nourish the event as we move forward.
100%.
Yeah. But
100%. We use the data currently in other regards with other festivals that are new to the thing and are looking for ways to get better at offering their advertising and programming, and this information will be shared with that. We're not tracking individuals, we're tracking kind of the information that comes from said gathering of folks. It's just like you go to a website and then all of a sudden you start seeing that store's ads all over your tracking. It's the same approach as little meta tags that are normal.
And let me ask you this, since I mentioned the Penn Center as an example, would the Penn Center have an opportunity to interface with you?
Absolutely.
With that data to help them better plan, or any one of these organizations?
Absolutely. Which is, I think, why we were approached, is because we already have some established collaborations already in place throughout the county, in which we work with different entities to provide what data we can make available to them, what we have available on those. The majority of the festivals that take place in, say, Waterfront Park would have this geofence built into it. I know we did the Heritage Days Fence Center when they came up with their last ATAX request. So a lot of the data they're already using in the ATAX application most likely came from us to begin with.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Passiment?
Yes, the third party is the data collector. How do you receive the data? Is it daily, monthly, weekly, quarterly?
That's a great question. It actually is it's a lag time of about 24 to 48 hours, depending on the amount of information that is collected or, garnered during that time period. But we'd say within 48 hours, we could produce a report, and then it takes about 3 weeks for the economic portions to come in because of, credit card data or whatever else that we're looking at spend in that market. So in a given time frame, we could probably turn it around in, say, a month, which is plenty of time for them to submit their application or reimbursement pieces or be ready for the following year when they're going for tax grants.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You said credit card data. Who's collecting the credit card data?
We want to remember, no, it's just.
No, I mean, there's every store that you shop in and use
Right.
your credit card.
Yep, I get that. I can get the last four of anybody that swipes a
Has nothing to
card.
do with that.
Yeah.
Everything to do with total spend and a zip code, maybe
Okay.
attachment of what that spend was for that market. That's all that's allowed by credit card spend, by the way. That's it.
So just a comment to answer, a lot of the ATAX applications and Brian sat through the meetings, I sat through, Dylan did. So some of it's anecdotal data. They say, oh, we had 100,000 people. How do you know that? Oh, there was a big crowd or there was a lot of people. Okay, that's anecdotal. And they don't know who's local or who's visitor. Visitors over 50 miles away. Some of these that we're funding may be mostly local events, in which case they're really not what we're looking for. So this gives us some concrete data, which I've been talking about for 3 years, to support our return on investment. So I'm very excited this is going to happen. And I'd like to see where Mr. Cunningham goes and spend his money. So that'd be great.
I will not be able to tell you that, but
It's my biggest fear right there, right?
And so we have to talk about where to fund it. I liked your idea that we can apply for state aid tax as reimbursement.
Well, next year, that would be the best way to go.
Correct.
For this year, if you want to expedite this, you could direct that it come out of the general fund and that the county apply for the local 3% to get the money for it. So it would just be fronting the money for a month or two until that committee meets if the application's approved.
Yeah.
Ms. Pinky, I'm gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
Ms. Harriott, sorry.
So since the general fund budget is already passed, we would have to do an amendment or repurpose some expenditures. So I agree to the point that Rob made earlier, do it as a part of the budget process so you can budget this in state and you have time also to speak with the state aid tax committee and plan for it for the upcoming year. Does that
So
make sense?
do we have any options to start this in January?
You do, we have
Feasible.
local A&H tax are coming up and that cycle starts in January 1. So it can be requested as, that could be a part of your allotment from local A&H.
So I'm going to ask a question. I already know the answer, but just for heck of it. On the state aid tax, we are at 999,005. So we have extra money there.
I've not seen a contract, so
Oh,
I
okay.
see a fiscal impact of 35,000.
35,000, yeah.
Not sure where that number came from, so I have no idea exactly what this will cost. We do have some funds in state aid tax, but of course, if you go the state aid tax route, it does need to go through their committee.
We have to go to the committee.
Correct.
Okay, we understand that. Or we go to local in January.
Right, you can submit an application on behalf of the
Maybe this
county.
month, you're not getting it this year.
Well, we have a committee seated. We don't have all the
Right.
people.
For local? Yes,
Yes,
When's
We have
their-
enough.
But it has to go to their meeting, right?
correct.
correct.
When's
This-
their next
You
meeting?
can always call a special meeting.
The grant cycle doesn't open until January
Yeah.
1st.
That
So-
was the first opportunity.
Right. You could,
But I'm saying for us to even get it to January, I'm assuming they're probably not meeting most of December. So we'd have to get it to them this month to be able to meet in November on this topic.
Well,
Could we,
If you want to meet that time frame of January.
yeah, well, we would put an application in for
Correct.
local aid tax.
Mhm.
Is that what you're talking about? They'd have to do that.
yes, so we as a county could put in an application at local A&H tax in the cycle that opens January 1.
Yes.
And then it can be presented to you at the April Finance Committee.
And then next year we put it in for state aid tax.
Correct.
And it's possible to, if we find it good information, we could have a multi-year contract instead of doing it every year. Okay.
I think the sooner the better to get it done, however we can do it.
Is this something that has to go to council for full discussion, or is it something that we could just have staff, since it's only $35,000 a year, to apply for?
You're talking about a funding source, you should go to council.
Okay.
We could direct staff to apply for local aid tax.
You
We-
could recommend to council to direct staff.
The threshold's 50.
That's
So
what I was
think
thinking.
if we put in an application on behalf of the county, it could be approved.
They could request that they put the application, but for the funding source, that should be a council decision. And the committee should make a recommendation to council.
Which it will be when the local aid tax comes forward.
Because we have to.
You all will.
January anyways.
Mhm.
So we can make that motion to direct staff to apply for that now. Tab, that's to you.
I believe we can.
Are you making that motion?
We
Then?
need to make a motion that we direct staff to apply for local AH tax for $35,000 to cover this I'd like to call contract with the CVB.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion before we take a vote?
Just quickly, this would then go in effect when?
January sometime.
The awarding of the contract or the?
The application period starts January 1st.
Right, so you won't get the money until after January,
Right.
and then you can get started at that time?
Yeah, after
You can
the,
evaluate, you can use that that application, if it gets approved as a part of your presentation for local A&H, that cycle of folks that get awarded those funds, Rob can do the analysis on that. Sorry. On that list of awards. So that first cycle of applications can be your first, what's the word?
Would you have data at that time to get started with
Yes,
presenting?
I stated earlier, as soon as we get confirmation that we can move forward, we can start applying the geofences over the events. Up till, a year out or a year past. So that would allow us to go backtrack and do that. Again, just 2 points of clarification. One, this is just a direct pass through. This is contracts with the CVB, so there's not, it's through us, it's through our architecture, but it's just straight up, that's the charge. It's the $35,000. That's one. Two, any event up until, a year out, so a year past, would be allowed to be tracked and picked up.
Joe has his hand.
Mr. Passiment.
Yes, we do have contingency funds in either the county council line or the administrator line. If we wanted to do it through that route and then be reimbursed so that we could apply in January and be reimbursed by April, but have the program already moving forward.
Is that a motion, Mr. Passman?
I would certainly make that motion.
I would second it.
All right, we already have one motion on the floor. So is that an amendment to the motion?
Yeah, that would be the amendment to the motion that we specifically use one of the contingencies, and I would say the county council contingency would be the one to use because this is a county council decision.
And then in your motion, you'd say we would apply for the A-tax to refund
Correct.
the source you took it from. Okay. And you still second that, Mr. Glover, with the
I
clarification?
do.
What's the process look like for you on your end if we went that route?
Well, we'd get a contract and review and have legal review the contract, and then we'll move forward using your contingency, council's contingency,
Would you have to come forward to us to allocate the funds?
not for $35,000.
Okay.
assuming it's there, right?
Right.
We just
There.
we need to look.
All right. Any other discussion? Does everyone understand the motion on hand? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've listened to this entire discussion
Mm-hmm.
and I realize that we're trying to gather data from geographical areas. I realize that we're trying to gather data from geographical areas as far as the attendance of different functions. But I will tell you that I don't think we, the government, county council, should be involved in tracking people. I just can't buy into that. So I understand the motion on the floor, but I'm not gonna support it.
Well, the government's not really tracking. We're
The government.
Yeah, we're not tracking, we're giving a contract to the CDB,
Right.
who tracks anyway.
Right, but we're not tracking individuals or not track, it's a collective pool of data that's pulled from that geo area. I understand the concern, there's a lot of that you're not allowed to track personal data all the way through. You're picking up psychographic behaviors, which are tracked through many of the social media sites and stuff like that, but it's not an individual personal data.
I just want to point out that you're talking about using funds from council's contingency fund, and this is a committee of council. It should be all of council that weighs in on whether or not to expend those funds.
What's the other funding source we have?
The administrator.
To wait for the state.
Yeah, to wait for the local aid tax. Because I can speak to the administrator's contingency is currently being used for something else.
To save this, Mr. Passiment, I will tell you that I do have the same mindset as Mr. Dawson with the information that's been given so far. I did not plan to support it. I'm not sure where everybody else stands on it, but with that said, I would be more inclined to support it that we just do the A-tax portion, because that gives us one, time for information, and two, we would still have to approve it after we are given the grant to gather more information if that time came. But your motion is on the floor. I can call the question unless you would like to make any comments on that. It's totally up to you, sir.
I'll be glad to withdraw my motion and let it go the course of kind of delaying this. But obviously, this is something that will provide us with solid data. In the world we live in, no matter where you are, your data is being looked at by someone. If you see an ad on your phone and you're curious about that, the next thing you know, you get 25 more ads for that product. So that's the world we live in. What Rob is trying to do is get us the best return on our investment, and this is one way of doing it.
I understand. Any others?
I will withdraw my motion.
Yes,
Mr. Glover, do you wish withdraw your second?
If he did, yes, I'll do that.
All right, the original motion is back on the floor to direct staff to apply in January for the $35,000. I believe you said A-tax, right?
Local aid tax.
Local A-tax. Is there any other discussion, or can we take this to a roll call? Sarah?
Oh.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Tabernik,
Yes.
Chair Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Passiment,
Yes,
Councilmember Glover,
Yes.
Councilmember Dawson,
No.
Vice Chair Cunningham.
Yes, for point of discussion in the future.
The motion passes.
You forgot-
Councilmember Brown, sorry, Mr. Passiment's listed
Yeah.
twice.
Yes.
Okay, it passes. One objection.
All right. Thank you for your time, sir. We will move on to item number C under reports, discussion and possibility to purchase a new helicopter for Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. And all of you should have a packet printed out in front of you as well.
Mr. Cunningham, members of the committee, thank you. I'm Neil Baxley. I'm one of the pilots for the Sheriff's Office for their helicopter program. And whenever I take the helicopter out, I'm immediately addressed with two comments. One is, I didn't know the Sheriff's Office had a helicopter. And second, what do you do with it? Well, the obvious first answer is yes, we've got two of them. And secondly, what do we do with it? We have two OH-58 Kiowa helicopters built by Bell Helicopter in 1970. They are 55-year-old aircraft. They belong to the Department of Defense. They are on loan to the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office through the 1033 program. We maintain them, we put the fuel in them, we do the training with them. The Department of Defense simply gives this to us. We use them as an observation and search platform. They are a patrol car in the sky. Whereas a patrol car riding through your neighborhood has a limited vision of perhaps 100 yards, Ours is measured in miles. So we're out at least once a week, and we try to go twice a week on routine patrols. During the summertime, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we do a beach and river patrol every Saturday, because we have a lot of folks in this county who enjoy boating and water activities, and they don't just do it at Hunting Island State Park or on the beaches on Hilton Head. They're doing it up in the creeks and the rivers. So when we're out there looking, we're looking for anything that just looks wrong to us, whether it be activities. Illegal dumping is a big one. That's one of our primary looks every time we go out. We've found over 20 illegal dump sites so far, and on 3 occasions, we caught the people in the act of dumping, which resulted in arrests. One of them was about a mile up the Bluffton Linear Trail. He had gone really out of his way to dump his refuse, and we just had ground units waiting for him at the end of the trail when he came back out. We use it for illegal construction. You'll see a picture in the handout there of a structure being built on a sandbar south of Pritchard's Island. When I flew over that Saturday 2 summers ago, I said, no, you can't do that out there. It's not allowed. And we notified the appropriate authorities, codes enforcement with the county, OCRM, DHEC, all those agencies. And DHEC went out there and issued a cease and desist order to construction. Stopped. But that's something that would not have been seen without us out there looking for it. Nobody else would have picked up on it because there's nobody else out there looking. Illegal burns. We are constantly, every time we fly, we're checking out smoke columns. Is this a fire that's being attended? Is this a fire out of control? Is this do we have a burn ban in place and it shouldn't be burning at all? And we'll call the fire department for those. We're out there looking for, you'll see a picture of a stranded boater. A lot of folks that are out here enjoying the water activities don't understand that the tides change and they will get stranded. And so we'll come in low, we'll use a loud hailer, we'll get their attention. They have to demonstrate to us visually, because we can't land, that they've got water, they understand the situation they're in, they give us a thumbs up, we're good, and we'll take off and move on to something else. But we do that regularly. You will see a picture of a stranded kayaker. He was able to dial 911, but had no idea where he was at, other than a general area. And it still took us about 15 minutes to find him, because he was pretty well hidden in the marsh. But we did find him, and then we were able to get rescue folks out there to him. So we're doing stuff like this. We're also doing the community service events. We will go anywhere we're asked that the public is not being charged to attend. It must be a free event. We've done school visits. We've done Citizens Police Academy, public like Spooktacular this coming Friday. It'll be our 4th trip to Spooktacular in Bluffton. And we're a big hit wherever we go with the helicopter. We enjoy doing that. It allows us to interact with the kids, interact with their parents, positive influence from the sheriff's office, this sort of thing. And then, of course, we also do, helicopters are 55 years old. What we're looking to do is, with the purchase through a municipal lease agreement, the lease to own agreement, we're looking to replace one of the 2. You have to have 2. I think Mr. Moore will agree with this. You have to have 2 to have 1, because they do go down for maintenance issues and they go down for regular inspections. When we send them off for the annual inspection up to our maintainer in Saluda, it's gone for a month. That's what it takes to go through the annual inspection. So we're looking to replace. I'll sit down with the maintainers if approved, and they will determine which one is the least viable airframe that we still have. And then we'll ask 1033 to allow us to cannibalize it. So far, we have received 4 to cannibalize it. So far, we have received 4 from 1033 that were flyable when we got them, and we cannibalized them for parts so that we have a parts room. Aircraft that are built 55 years ago, they're no longer building them. They built the last OH-58 about 1975, and the last 206, which is somewhat compatible, was built in 1995. So we're either buying refurbished parts to put on them, or we're buying increased cost aftermarket parts. So that's what we're looking to do with the helicopter. Questions?
Any questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I do.
Sorry.
I figured we would. For $5 million, we better have some questions.
So it's 120-month lease purchase. I noticed you have 500,000 in the current CIP that would cover the first year, roughly.
Somebody else want to talk about this?
The down payment is 596, 527.80. So it's close to it. Did you say the helicopters you have now, they're built in 1970, they're on loan from the Defense Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they not loan us a newer one?
Yeah, ma'am. They do.
Why?
They don't, because they keep them as long as they can keep them. We picked up both of these from Army bases.
Right.
When the Army got tired of them, and they had flown them for nearly 50 years. And then they have a maintenance staff that works on them every day and basically an unlimited budget. And so when they get to a point where that airframe is no longer viable to them, they put it, and the OH-58 program, they have discontinued. The helicopters that they purchased to replace it as a training and a light observation, they're not done with them. So none of those are out there.
They're not coming out. And it includes a 3-year, 1,000-mile warranty. How many miles do you fly this critter in a year?
I don't know where 1,000 miles came from.
It's in there.
I have no idea. We fly it measured in hours.
Hours, okay. Maybe it's 1,000 hours.
It's probably 1,000 hours.
How many hours do you fly a year, would you say?
We are averaging, this past year, we flew 186 hours.
Okay, so 3 years would be more than sufficient. I would ask our CFO, what options do we have for this request? It's obviously not in this year's budget.
And Pinky will be prepared to talk about
I
that.
knew she would.
But we just wanted to kind of lay this out for you all, because if you look at the lease agreement, it does talk about having an ordinance or resolution
Yep.
from the governing body, which you can find on the second page. And then, yes, y'all had appropriated $500,000 this year, but in future council, the question is, you'd have to appropriate this over a 10-year period. And there may be other ways to finance this that Pinky can speak to. So that's the main reason we want to bring this forward.
That's why I'm looking to hear other ways to finance it. Okay.
So they did receive $500,000 for fiscal year 26 CIP budget, and I think the initial payment is $597. And Ms. Cook has said that they will find the additional $97,000 in the sheriff's budget for the initial year, because you do have to make that payment in the case of signing this proposal. I'm not exactly, if you're asking me, I'm not exactly keen on booking a lease, a $5 million lease, after I just issued bonds for $70 million. So I would prefer not to do the lease option. I did confirm with bond counsel that in the case that we do not proceed with the $9.5 million in the 2025 bond that we had for the law enforcement campus, you could reallocate some of those funds to purchase this helicopter if that's what you choose to do. I also want to note that, in signing this lease agreement, you are having to book the liability if you did it a lease to purchase option for the full $5 million, by the way, which is why I don't recommend that.
Mr. Glover, you got a question?
Oh, yeah. Tab had really asked the original question, for concern I had, but let's go back to the helicopter.
Yeah, that's you.
Not the funding part and stuff. I think we can, the concern that is not a concern. Anytime the sheriff shows up, you either gotta support him or you don't support him. And if you don't support him, you're in trouble. But don't tell him I said that.
You just did.
I know he's watching. But my original question goes back to what Tab asked. Why not go back to the military for a vehicle? You answered already. So that was my original question. So how do we fund this is, I think, what we in council have to embrace. If you got one and you got 10 years on that, what's the life expectancy of a helicopter? Because you got another one that's you're going to come back to have replaced as well. So what's the life expectancy, and when should we expect the second one to come back?
It depends on
20 years from now?
It depends on how well they're maintained. Yes, sir. Again, I'm flying 55-year-old aircraft, and they're still viable. We found a stress fracture on a bracket during the last annual inspection on one of them, and that's why we do the inspections. So that bracket was replaced, and it was showing about a 2-inch crack in it. It just depends on how well they're maintained, and we intend to do that. When we would come back to replace the second one, I can't predict that right now, and I can't predict what opportunities we might have in the future. The Army is looking, the helicopter we want to get is a Bell 505, and the Army, Bell is pitching that same helicopter to the Army as their new training platform. And so there would possibly be 5, 6, 7 years down the road, some opportunities there, because it would be the same aircraft. I don't know. It depends on whether or not the Army picks up the 505, but Bell's pushing it hard, and it's a good platform for them. I don't know. Eventually we would need to replace the second one. But we would, with the new one, the bulk of the flying would probably go on the new one, and the second one would be used more for backup and for training purposes. I'm currently in the process. I trained a new pilot last year. He got his license in June, and I'm currently working on 2 more deputies to get them, with a goal to have them licensed next June. And so I'm looking to the future in the pilot, because I'm not going to be around forever.
Really?
I've been here almost as long as the helicopters have been around. So I'm looking to the future for that. So I don't know exactly what opportunities, but we would be diminishing the use of the older aircraft and putting the bulk of the flying on the newer, more solid aircraft.
One of the things that I bought an old combine to harvest grain, and the owner basically told me that he's going to be hard finding parts. And after the second or third year, I found it was very difficult finding parts for an old vehicle that John Deere just stopped making parts for. Are parts still being made for?
They are being made by aftermarket vendors. Bell is not manufacturing parts anymore for the OH-58 or the 206, which is the civilian version of it. But there's a lot of them out there. The 206 at one point was the most popular aircraft in the world. And so there are a lot of parts out there. And again, I picked up 4 58s from the Army since I've been running the program, and took over 2017. And we cannibalize those for parts. So I have a parts room right now that has 2 transmissions and a viable motor in it, plus a whole lot of miscellaneous other parts. And then there are refurbished parts. They can be overhauled and refurbished and put back in the aircraft. And we've had to do that once already with an engine. We had an engine go bad on us, and we had to put a refurbished one in there.
I'm going to support the sheriff's request because I'm smart enough to know that better. However, how we fund it is the question that we are moving forward with. So I'm not comfortable right now with the funding right now, but I'm going to support the request. So, yeah.
I would like to add one thing on our accomplishments. Rural and critical lands, the county has spent a ton of money buying rural and critical lands, and the sheriff's office is tasked with patrolling it. It takes our guys 3 days to touch all of it. I do it in 2 hours, and I do that regularly. I have a map of where they're all at, and I touch all of it in 2 hours. If we see something, then we call the grounds guys in to check it out. So
you do that on an annual basis, or
I do that about once a month.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
How long has the county had helicopters?
We picked up the first one in October of 2014,
2014.
and then picked up the second one about 18 months later.
The second question, I realize we're just a county of islands. That's what we are. I have no problem. I mean, helicopter's the best way to cover everything, I'm sure. And you did a great presentation to my Rotary Club about a month ago with more details about what you've done. But how many other counties statewide have helicopters? Not counting Spartanburg, because they got in trouble for theirs. So
We'll talk about that. They actually still have it. They're not flying it right now.
Okay.
Florence County has a helicopter. Charleston County has a helicopter. Richland County just got out of the helicopter business, and we picked up theirs and cannibalized it for parts. Greenville County has one. Anderson County has one. Oconee County has one, and Sled has 4.
But Horry County does not have one.
No, ma'am. Horry County does not,
Right.
which has always surprised us.
Oh, it is. Thank you.
I have another question. Do we assist other agencies like SLED or another county when they need something and we have the helicopter?
Absolutely. We were in Jasper County. If you recall, a Sunday in July, the sheriff got shot at on a traffic stop.
Yes.
We were over there directly involved in the apprehension of those 2 suspects. We have gone to Hampton County. We've gone to Jasper several times. And matter of fact, some of our best catches have been in Jasper County.
So not to sound cheap, but do we charge them?
No, ma'am, it's mutual aid. Part of the Department of Defense 1033 program it's available.
I mean, mutual aid is mutual. If we're the only one with a helicopter, it's not mutual aid. Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
And we also assist SLED. SLED has 4 helicopters, and but they only have one standing crew. And so they may be deployed to Union County and something come up down here in one of the other counties, and their aviation commander will call me and say, can you go? And I'll check it with the boss, and he'll give me thumbs up or thumbs down to go help other counties. And I think Mr. Passiment had his hand up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Passiment.
Yes, we're throwing numbers around. Pinky had said 5 million. The AIS says the fiscal impact is 3,976,852. When I take a look at some of the other documents from Textron Financial, they're talking about 3,985,322 plus another $40,000 for arrears, and we're talking about tax. So we really need to know what would be the actual purchase price of this rather than go through a lease, because you're saying we do not want to have a 10-year lease. And the other question is, do we pay tax
I didn't think we did.
as a governmental entity?
On a helicopter, we wouldn't pay taxes. Why would we?
I thought aviation was exempt also, but I'm not the expert.
I thought so.
Parts for the aviation are exempt, but no, yes, the amount on this, correct me if I'm wrong, it's $3.9 million plus sales tax, which we do not have that final number for sales tax, as I believe Ms. Cook is still trying to get that from the vendor.
Okay. All right. And that would be the purchase price?
But to address your 5 million, that was the original request that was submitted during the budget process.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's closer to 4 million.
Yeah.
Correct.
I would suspect
It'll be a little
it'll
lower
be over
because
4.2, 4.3, just
Yeah.
based on percentage wise.
Mhm.
We'll hit that quick math later.
Just a quick note, Mr. Baxter, I want to thank you and the sheriff for your assistance with your air patrol. My question is, do you assist our military with air rescues?
No, sir. The 58 is not a platform designed to do rescues. It's a search platform. It is not strong enough to hoist. You cannot mount a hoist on it. So the Coast Guard, they've got 5 helicopters at Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah that are very prompt to respond. I have assisted them in searching,
Okay.
and then they do the lifting.
Okay.
Anybody else before I have a couple questions? All right, one, I don't believe we should be getting into your day-to-day operations. It's not our place. That's what you guys are in charge of doing. That's what the sheriff's in charge of doing. I guess my only question, one of them was that when we got the ones that we had, which is 2014, you used the word that they're on loan. Are we currently paying for that loan, or is it a loan for a fiscal
It's a
amount?
contract that has no monetary value, but we had to sign the contract. This is how we would use them. This is what we would do with them. And when we're done, we have to give it back.
So currently, there's nothing in the sheriff's budget that's going annually to the leasing of these helicopters.
Correct.
Okay. My other question is exactly what Tab brought up. I was going to ask if it's used in surrounding counties. So I'll be very upfront, and I won't waste your time. As much as Jasper County's building, I don't see how we fund this on our own. They're putting everything right on our edge. We're already dealing with the infrastructure problem with our roads. So my question is this something that we should be reaching out to Jasper County on how they're going to assist providing for us on this? That might not be one for you. That might be one.
That's not.
Like I said, day-to-day operations, that's for you guys to handle. If you guys are using it, statistically, you've showed some data that you are. If you guys have more, that would be even great to help the argument of how much it's used and how much rescues it's done, spottings. I know you mentioned it, but just like on paper, numbers wise. So I guess that's something, maybe administration, that's a discussion we need to have.
Joe's got a question.
Sure, Joe?
Yes, you just said something about the helicopters are on loan and we would have to give them back if we're not going to use them. Is there a possibility, because we're going to actually purchase our own, that they would take both of them back?
No, sir.
Okay.
So to piggyback on what Mr. Cunningham just said, I understand mutual aid.
But the mutual aid goes away in that agreement when we own the helicopter.
Yeah, this is a one-way, so it's not mutual to me. So I'm just wondering, he's right with Jasper County. I mean, we have fire department, mutual aid, I get it, I got it, but they help us, we help them. This is a one-way. So again, not to sound cheap, but maybe we need to look at charging for this service. Because Beaufort County taxpayers are gonna pay for this. And this goes back to, remember the whole discussion of the animal center?
Right.
Okay, this is the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Same
this
thing.
is not your problem. This becomes ours.
It's not, well, I understand the need. I understand the reason behind it. Just our job is to figure out the funding source. By us, I mean, is Harriott, she handles that for us. But deciding if we're gonna move forward with it. And for me to be able to spend taxpayer funds, I gotta make sure that they're getting their money's worth. So if, right now, you said we have to do it because we have them on loan. But if we're purchasing this helicopter, those same rules don't apply. So my question is, if that helicopter becomes property of Beaufort County, South Carolina, it's under our possession, it's our rules, so we're not obligated by, I think you said Department of Defense is who we got them from?
Correct.
Correct. That same agreement for that helicopter. So I guess, is this something we should have discussions with Jasper? We want to work with Jasper, just like we do on our transportation. Is this a discussion that administration that we want to have with Jasper if we're going to move forward to this, to how they can help fund this operation? Which I also do agree with not doing a 10-year lease. I'm not going to handcuff another county council when all of us are gone.
I'll take this from you.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I mean, well, you could certainly look at it. I don't think it'd be limited to just Jasper County either. I mean, if any other county or outside agency, I would think we, want to discuss having a single rate, an hourly rate. I'm not sure we could talk about that, but in terms of cost to the sheriff's office and, operational costs as well as the capital cost of acquiring the machine. So we could certainly look at that, but I think if that's the case, I'm not sure, it will probably reduce how much we get asked to come support, would be my guess too. So, but yeah, we can look at it. Absolutely.
That's our choice then.
I mean, and that's fine. It could be a base fee up front for the next 10 years. It could be an hourly rate. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, but we owe it to our taxpayers to at least defend their finances and find out.
You could authorize the purchase for primary use in Beaufort County, and then you could direct staff to have conversations with other surrounding counties for possible intergovernmental agreements to where if they have a need for it, they can make the request, and if it's available, this would be the fee for whatever the hour is, as the administrator said. So that could be the direction. But to authorize the purchase, you should plan on paying the full amount right now, and then if you're going to have agreement to use it in another county on a request basis, set a fee for that.
Well, today's just a discussion, but I definitely think this is something we need to have conversations about before we go spend $4 million or $4.5 million, whatever it is. Oh, you're itching. Go ahead.
Just a friendly reminder, you do have a budget retreat coming up in November, so this can be discussed there. We can have the colonel and the sheriff come and provide more additional details, whether a rate structure or whatever it may be. Have conversations with Jasper, so you can have that discussion at the retreat if you would like.
I think it's a great idea. I think people are on board of how we want to get another helicopter. It's just about how we go about doing it. So I don't think there's any disagreement of getting this done. I think it's how it gets done. So I'm all on board with putting it on the budget retreat agenda. I mean, I don't make the call for that. You do, but if
Sounds good.
that's something you're on board with, if we could get that added to it,
Mr. Chairman, just want to.
it's a great idea.
Yeah, just want to include, you talk about counties, and of course you talked about Hampton and Colleton and then Jasper, but you also talk about the state as well. So if the state asks you to do something, it seems to me that you would do it. I mean, that's just me, whether you.
We do when they ask, yes, sir. And I'll give.
But
you-
I understand, yeah.
I'll give you another example, Mr. Glover. In 2015, if you remember the gigantic floods that hit the mid-state, every helicopter in the state was committed somewhere, and they asked us to go help them with search efforts in Clarendon County, and we spent 5 days in Clarendon County working.
What would be good to know is, every time you hourly rate, you fly by the hour.
Our current operating costs are approximately $200 an hour.
$200
$200 an hour, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any
guess I
other
would,
questions for discussion?
I would encourage the colonel to have communications with the surrounding counties to see if they would have an interest if it was on a fee basis rather than voluntary. And then bring that information to council at the workshop.
That work for you, Colonel? Mike, yes.
I guess I'm gonna be.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
They're getting
escape
pulled
today.
in. You almost made it to the end.
Right.
I'd make a few comments anyways, just to begin with. You talk about the youth and what's the money for the usage. I would ask anybody in this room, if they had a lost child or somebody in their family had dementia or Alzheimer, what would it be worth to you for us to get in that helicopter and go out and find that person? Number two, you talk about, I thought I talked loud enough. You talk about mutual aid. Well, mutual aid in this instance is statutory. We're not talking about just a phone call and the sheriff says you can do this or that. We can and we're required to help adjoining law enforcement agencies. So for you to say, do we get an agreement from each county to use the helicopter? What you're basically doing is handcuffing the sheriff where he has to be concerned about that. We're not concerned with money on that point. We're concerned in the public safety aspect of helping any agency that asks us. We don't ask SLED for money when they come down and ask us, if you understand my point here. And I'll take any questions. I don't mind speaking.
I wouldn't say it's arguing the value of it, but just when the solicitor comes to us and asks us for funds, we also have those conversations as well. Where do the funds go? Who's your majority that funds it? That's our job, is to deal with the aspect of the financials of it. So it's not a disrespect thing. It's just our job is to look out for the interest of our taxpayers in Beaufort County. Nobody's saying not to go to help in these search and rescues or anything like that. We're just saying, how do we make sure that we still have checks and balances on our end, that we're responsible for these funds?
I agree.
You know, I just want to clear that up. There's not saying we don't want to help neighboring counties.
I agree, but to that point, you said earlier, we don't want to handcuff a council that comes after us.
Mhm.
Well, you can't handcuff the sheriff in the same regard that if a law enforcement agency asks him to come help him and he has to say, well, can you pay this? Can you do this? I don't think that's what this is all about. And I answered your question with the child or the people that have a disease, because that's the purpose. All these things, public safety and helping the public.
Any other questions? All right, Ms. Alice, you said you're good with having that on the workshop agenda? Perfect. We'll put it on there. Hopefully you guys can attend. Do you know the date on that, the budget workshop?
November 13th.
November 13th.
What's the lead time on buying this? I mean, how long does it take you to get it? Like a year?
Once we give them the go-ahead to build it, it will take roughly 10 months to take delivery.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Yep.
All righty, we will close the reports and move on to our agenda items. Thank you, guys. Resolution regarding the Beaufort County Personnel Handbook, Section 3.3, Remote Work Telecommuting Policy. Ms. Mead, how are you? Can I have a motion to put this on the floor, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And a second
I'll second.
by Mr. Dawson. Awesome, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon. And while they are pulling this up, just want to kind of start with the background of where we are, why you're seeing me again on this same topic. So we're here today to present a resolution to amend the Beaufort County's remote work policy. By way of background, staff previously brought forward a revised version of this policy to the Finance Committee in August, which was later advanced to full council on September 22nd. During that meeting, staff requested to return to this committee following the issuance of a new executive order signed by Governor McMaster on September 11th, 2025. Our intent is to align the county policy with the direction established at the state level. In addition, council asked us to evaluate any potential risks associated with remote work, review practices in other counties of similar size, and bring forward a revised recommendation. I want to emphasize that we are not recommending the elimination of remote work. We have seen meaningful benefits from offering this flexibility to our employees and our operations, including improved recruitment and retention, increased employee satisfaction, and greater continuity of operations during emergencies. The policy we are proposing will continue to allow employees to work from home in specific conditions and circumstances, such as during emergencies or technical disruptions, to ensure continuity of services. However, we are recommending the addition of clear parameters to the policy, Establishing these boundaries ensure fairness, consistency, and accountability across all county employees. It also protects operational effectiveness, fosters collaboration amongst our teams, and supports the delivery of high-quality services to our citizens. I also want to clarify the policy is not intended to interfere with the ability of elected officials in their daily operations. Our goal is to create framework that applies to all county employees fairly, supports our shared mission to serve the residents of Beaufort County, and ensures compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. So with that, we'll open up with a presentation that covers some of the questions that you guys had for us, and then we'll go back into the revised remote policy. Okay. So a little bit of a background. We do offer telecommuting and remote work opportunities to our county employees. We saw this really take off the ground running during COVID-19, and it has been around post-pandemic, so much so that a formal policy was created on January 1st, 2024. And to ensure alignment with best practices, administration has been reviewing the policy for necessary updates, such as defining eligibility and approval parameters, defining the types of alternate work arrangements, and ensuring compliance with federal and state laws. State of South Carolina has a remote policy. They have for quite some time. Their biggest stance on that is it is to result in greater efficiency and cost savings. It is treated as a management option, not an employee right or entitlement, and they do retain discretion over who may telecommute and under what conditions. And each state agency does work through the State Division HR office to provide guidance on their specific agency policies. On September 11th, the Governor McMaster did sign an executive order, which updated the rules around these telecommuting policies that the state agencies have in place. Some of those key changes include that each agency policy and plan must be pre-approved by the state HR department. Telecommuting is limited to a maximum of 2 days per work week. There are restrictions on consecutive work days, meaning they can't work Monday and Tuesday or Thursday and Friday. Essentially, you don't want to extend into a 5 to 6 day weekend. Certain leadership roles are excluded. Employees must have at least 1 year of satisfactory service. Employees with recent unsatisfactory performance reviews or disciplinary actions are not eligible. And the agency directors can remove or modify the privilege at any time, and it would not be subject to their grievance procedures. What are other Tier 1 counties doing? Horry County, remote work is permitted, but not heavily utilized. I think they said they have less than a dozen folks that are working remotely across their entire county. They do have one employee that is working out of state. I believe they said it was with their IT department. Richland County, their remote work is permitted, but they do not allow out-of-state employees. And supervisory personnel are not eligible unless approved by administration. York County, they remote their limited work or remote work to 1 day a week, and it has to be Tuesday through Thursday. They review their out-of-state eligibility on a case-by-case basis. Counties that do not offer remote work, Anderson, Berkeley, Greenville, and Spartanburg. And I have not heard back yet from Charleston or Lexington, but I'm happy to share that with you all once I get those answers. I think it's important for us to define remote work because the language can be interpreted different ways by different folks. So for the purpose of Beaufort County and our policy, the definitions that we have provided here is telecommuting, or the terms rather, is telecommuting, hybrid remote work, and virtual work. So telecommuting would be arrangement where if there's an emergency situation, staff needs to still provide operations and services, they can easily go home and work, for a day or two. Maybe there's a special project that needs their attention. Maybe the county has closed down. I think I heard someone on council mention in one of our last meetings, maybe our internet provider is down and we still have work to be done. That's when we would refer this as telecommuting. So it's occasional or situational. An example would be 1 to 2 days per week for 3 weeks for a special project. Where would that occur? Within a reasonable commuting distance. And we are defining a reasonable commuting distance as 1 hour driving time under normal driving conditions to your office. This provides flexibility and may report on-site as needed and specific base need. The other option is a hybrid remote work. So this is where employees can work remotely from an improved location, usually the employee's home, on a recurring part-time schedule and reporting to the office the other days of the week. An example would be maybe they're going to work from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays and work in the office Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Again, where would that occur? Within a reasonable commuting distance. This would also require a formal agreement with your HR department that would be shared with the finance department, the risk management department, and the legal department. And it balances on-site and remote work. The third term that we will refer to is called virtual work. So this is when you have an employee performing all of their duties remotely from an approved location, which is typically the employee's home again, and it's not in the county office. This would be full-time. All their work is completed from home. There is a variance here of whether it's in state or out of state, which is one thing that we will discuss as we get further into the presentation. In state would be subject to South Carolina state laws. Out of state is not recommended by administration at this time. We would have to collaborate with all the labor laws that are applicable in the state in which they work. Pros and cons of virtual work. Pros: increased productivity due to fewer office distractions, improved your employee retention, reduced commuting stress and employee burnout, cost savings on your office space and other overhead expenses, access to a broader talent pool, better work-life balance, and enhances employee satisfaction and morale. All things that go up must come down. So there are some cons to virtual work: reduced collaboration and spontaneous teamwork, communication challenges without the face-to-face interaction with not only their colleagues and their supervisors, but also the citizens that we serve, harder to monitor productivity and work progress, data security risk, potential employee isolation and lower engagement, work-life boundaries can blur. I know for me, when during COVID and I was working from home, I would find myself waking up at 6 a.m., jumping on my computer, and the next thing I know, it's 7 p.m. So it's hard to keep focused on your time there. Equity issues if some roles cannot work remotely. Not all of our positions in the county clearly can work remotely. So this next screen just gives you a little bit of insight of what goes on in HR. This is not an inclusive list of all labor laws, but it's certainly a pretty hefty list of things that you can consider. These are types of labor laws that the average people don't think about unless they're in the world of HR. So I won't go through all of these, but I just want to stress the importance that we do need to be mindful of this if we are going to allow our employees to work out of state on a full-time basis. For example, I'll talk about drug testing. Some states don't allow for random drug screens unless there's a reasonable suspicion. So if there's a post-accident, we can't do a post-accident drug screen. On the organ, bone marrow, and blood donation, some of this I found very interesting, but in Illinois, there is a state labor law that you have to provide paid leave up to so many days for individuals that are going to either donate organs or bone marrow or blood donation. Overtime pay was another interesting one. Most of us think about overtime pay when you exceed 40 hours in the work week. There are some states that you have to pay overtime when they exceed 8 hours in the day. And then there are some states that once they exceed 12 hours in the day, you have to pay double time. So a lot of small, minute details that aren't at the surface of just seeing overtime when you're reading this list. I did want to point out, speaking with some legal guidance, that we're not the only ones facing this challenge, especially as public employers. We reached out to our legal counsel for some advice here and got a direct response that the county is not the only public employer struggling with this. Just some snippets of our email threads is, though there are not any hard and fast rules in the area of remote work, as this is an ongoing or an area where technology and how people and work have outpaced the law. So they gave us a general consensus to consider. If you have an employee who resides in Georgia and is primarily based in their Beaufort office, but works some days remotely, but most days in the office, that employee would be viewed as a South Carolina-based employee, just as if he had commuted to work every day. So that means if we had someone that's doing a hybrid work remote schedule, they're working out of Savannah 2 days a week, in terms of all the labor laws that we have to consider, we would use it based on the South Carolina laws. On the contrary, an employee who is working primarily out of state, that state has the right to govern their jurisdiction and assert their administrative agencies and courts if we were to ever have to defend any type of litigation or to follow just your basic labor laws. Any questions so far? I know it's a lot
I'm
to
sorry.
take in.
You're saying if we had an out-of-state employee, we may be subject to that state law?
That is
If they
exactly
go
what
to-
I'm saying.
That's dangerous, but go ahead. Thank you. I want to make sure I understand what you just said.
I
Okay.
had a question. So whichever state they're working the most hours in would have primacy?
Yeah, so there's no hard and fast rule to say which you're working more hours, but you are correct with that. If they are primarily working out of state, then yes.
What is our policy for time off to vote in South Carolina versus some of these other states? Good question.
I can look into I know our county policy allows it, but, so we're meeting the threshold of that,
Okay.
but I can certainly look into the actual
That's fine.
state policy on
That's
that.
all I needed.
Yeah, but our county policy does
I
allow
have some
that.
questions. Does the zooming in on meetings, does that apply to county council? Like what Mr. Passiment is doing right now? Is that no longer allowed?
No, I think we're, just to clarify, we're talking about people who come to work here primarily. And so when you noticed up there, York County had a policy to allow people to come, because they're close to North Carolina, it's a border. Same thing here, you got folks who live in Georgia. They come into work, but if they remote work from home a day a week or 2 days a week, we don't really think that's an issue because their primary workplace is here, nor do we intend to have that affect council because, it wouldn't affect your ability to zoom in for a meeting. This really applies to folks that live outside the state and do virtual work. I think whichever slide Catherine had that on previously.
Yes.
And county council has a remote work or a remote meeting ordinance that we passed years ago.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Joe.
And as we all know, none of y'all live out of state because
Okay. When does
That's
this
a-
go
that's a
into
minor.
effect?
This policy,
Yeah.
well, that's what we're here to discuss. If
Oh,
it's something we
okay.
can move
All right.
forward with the revisions.
I had a couple more questions. So if someone works in, I don't know, Seattle,
Okay,
but they work for an office here in the county,
okay.
is this no longer going to be allowed?
That is what we are recommending, is to eliminate out-of-state work, remote work.
Because I work for a company here in Bluffton that was corporate headquarters in Bluffton,
Sure.
but we had employees all over the country that worked.
And y'all probably
And
had
that-
multi-state labor attorneys
South
too, that could
Carolina
know
law.
what each state labor laws are.
Because I was
my
a legal
guess.
assistant for the company and everything applied under South Carolina law. Even though they worked remote somewhere else. No?
So I think.
For your
I think
labor
the
laws?
issue, yeah, I think the difference is, if we have an employee that lives in Ohio. I
Yeah.
don't know why you would want to live there.
Oh.
If you live in
Okay.
Ohio and you're a
Right.
Beaufort County employee, so Ohio's a labor, it's a union state. So there are specific work requirements, and we would have to engage attorneys to make sure we're meeting those requirements. So there's an extra cost to my living in Ohio and working for the county, am I correct?
Yes,
And second of all, if, let's say I work for the legal department and they ask me to come in for a 3-day workshop, is the county going to pay for me to fly in, stay here, eat here?
I think that would go to whatever our travel policy says and what's reimbursable for that.
Which would be no. I mean, if you're living in Ohio and you're coming in for a meeting, you can Zoom it if you want, but I think the county would be remiss to pay for your airfare, your hotel while you're here, your food. I'm asking that question.
You don't pay for anybody else's commute to work.
I understand. That's why I'm asking it.
No, it is not currently in our travel policy. Also, to add to what Catherine has been saying, we do need to consider the tax implications of out-of-state employees, because there's a lot of compliance issues when it comes to payroll taxes, unemployment insurance, as I think you've already mentioned, withholdings that we would have to consider paying in other states as well.
So if an elected official, because they're sort of exempt, if let's say the sheriff's office wants to hire somebody in Ohio, they live there all the time, they work for the sheriff's office, then his budget has to incur the extra cost for the attorneys and everything else, correct? And does he need permission? Does an elected official have to run it past HR that you're hiring someone that doesn't live here?
I would just say that's coming out of the general fund. So yes, it would be an additional cost that budgeted to the sheriff, but still coming out of the general fund.
It's taxpayer money, I understand.
That's correct.
But does an elected, like a director here would have to go through HR to hire Alice if she lives in Ohio? Does the elected official have to go through HR to hire someone in another state?
So the current policy does list that any employees that are going to work out of state should get approval from county administration. The proposed policy that we are putting out there does clarify that the approval will stop at the elected officials' threshold for their employees, because I want to be clear that if an elected official, let's go back to in-state for a second. If an elected official wants their employees to work in-state, right up the road from 100 Ribaut Road, 5 days a week, then there's nothing that the county administration needs to do with that. But even a county employee that reports to an elected official that's going to work out of state, what we're proposing, well, we'd like to see that out of state remote is just not going to be a thing. But if it is going to be something that an elected official allows, and it's supported by way of their budget to fund whatever resources will be needed, such as that legal counsel or buying the extra workers' comp claim, which we'll get through here in a second, then we just need the notification of what's happening so we can coordinate all of that.
Are we doing that now? We have to my knowledge, we have one elected official that has out-of-state employees. Are we paying attention to if they live in Ohio, a labor state? Are we paying attention to what other regulations there are and taking care of the attorney stuff in there?
No.
Okay, so.
We're remiss on that, but it's also important to note that we've paid for travel to come back for training and to have them stay in a hotel and rental car, but we're paying that under protest because we're in litigation regarding that very issue right now.
Is some of these questions going to be answered in the rest of your
I think so.
presentation? Can we finish that part first
Yeah.
and then have some more discussion?
Sure.
Thank you.
So some of your other things, this is a very large list here that some of you may not have thought about those types of things, but getting into your everyday items that you may think about day in and day out. So mandatory and voluntary benefits. There are many and varied paid and unpaid leave requirements by each state to include family and medical leave, paid family leave, paid sick leave, pregnancy disability leave, mandatory short-term disability, and then other state required leaves. And I just wanted to point out, so specifically on paid family leave, that's separate from FMLA. We're all used to hearing the FMLA term. That's what we have here. It's a federal law. Obviously, we follow the federal laws. But there are other states that provide, in addition to FMLA, paid family leave, which we do not offer to our employees. So this runs concurrent with FMLA. It's an opportunity for new parents to bond with their newborns or to care for seriously ill family members. It's a benefit that's eligible for that job protection on a paid basis up to 8 weeks, partial salary. That is not, to some of the questions I've already heard, we are not offering those type of benefits as it stands. Paid sick leave is required in some states. We do have a sick leave policy, but I'll point out it was just adopted in 2020. So we were probably behind the bar with how long we were offering the paid sick leave. Pregnancy disability leave. So we do offer voluntary short-term disability to our employees, but we do not pay for that on behalf of the employees, and we do not require it to be available to all employees. California it's a required benefit in California to offer job protected leave up to 4 months in addition to the paid family leave and FMLA. We are not offering this to our employees. Another topic is workers' comp. So with workers' comp, we are a self-insured fund. All employees that are conducting work in South Carolina, if they're injured on the job, they are covered under our workers' comp policy. But workers' comp is very clear that you have to have your policy registered in the state in which they are working. We do not have workers' comp policies in any other state outside of South Carolina. I want to clarify, if someone's traveling out of state for a business conference, that's separate. You are covered with our policy, but to work virtually full-time out of state, we do not have that currently in place. We would, and some employer obligations is that, yes, we would need to retain that coverage for each state in which we have remote workers. And we would have to do it through a separate commercial policy. It cannot be folded into our current South Carolina self-insured fund. Other items to consider is compensation. So each state has its own wage and hour requirements that must be complied with, such as your minimum wage rates, which may be higher than the federal rate or the rate in South Carolina. South Carolina and the federal rate is $7.25 an hour. Currently on our class and comp plan, our lowest wage pay grade starts at $18.48. So we are well within that threshold. However, Washington, D.C.'s minimum rate is $17.95. So in any given year, we could now be out of compliance with that minimum wage. Washington State is $16.66 minimum wage. Exempt employee salary requirements sometimes might be greater than what the FLSA requires or other federal exemptions. Example, to be classified as an annual salaried exempt employee, you have to earn at least $35,568 a year. That is by way of the federal FLSA. There are states, though, that have higher thresholds. The highest state in the nation is California. You have to earn at least $68,640 a year in order to be classified as an exempt employee. Daily overtime requirements. This is where I mentioned earlier, we think about overtime with your traditional 40-hour work weeks, but there are some states that go by daily hours and not weekly hours. Wage deduction requirements that would prohibit certain deductions from pay without employee written consent. So we do have that flexibility to withhold certain deductions from their final paycheck if it was considered an advancement of wages. But we do not have that written consent as it's not required here, but there are some states in which it would be required. The timing of the paychecks, pay statement information requirements, and direct deposit laws can be different, varied by state. And then expense reimbursement. Some states for remote workers require you to reimburse folks for their home utility bills to work remotely. That's not here in South Carolina, nor are we doing that for our our remote employees. General employment laws. So each state may have various hiring requirements, such as prohibitions on asking applicants for salary history before hire. We are asking our applicants to provide us what their monthly salary rate was at their current employer. It's an optional question, but we're asking it. There's different regulations in place, varied by state laws, on new hire paperwork and the certain reporting structures that you have to do at the state agencies of who your new hires were for that month. And then, of course, the independent contractor requirements could vary state by state. Pre-employment and random drug screenings. There are some states that as I mentioned earlier, you cannot do random drug screens. Then you get into the whole other aspect of things that there are some states that recreational and medical marijuana use is legal, where it's not legal here in South Carolina. In addition to protected classes under the federal law, some states have additional categories such as marital and or family status, political beliefs, medical or recreational marijuana use, and victims of domestic violence, in which we do not recognize in the state of South Carolina. And then the slide that Pinky was coming up for earlier, and she's welcome to come back if she has some more information on this. But rules can vary state by state based on your state income tax withholding, your state unemployment insurance reporting, and your paying of those taxes, and your tax reporting and registering your agency with those states. So Pinky, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Okay. All right, so potential resources needed. If we are going to allow our employees to work out of state, we will need some assistance because we need to make sure we are in compliance with these labor laws. We would want the Multi-State Employment Law Council to engage outside legal counsel specializing in multi-jurisdictional employment laws to ensure compliance. And then, of course, if we ever were in any type of litigation, we would have to then re-engage with their services to assist with the litigation of what state have you. State registration and tax compliance, resources to manage the unemployment insurance and employment tax reporting and or state and local tax withholding. And then our workers' comp, we would need to immediately purchase the workers' comp coverage and also the administrative management from either third-party assistants or current staff with those claim handlings based on what the state laws are in which they reside. Options for consideration. So we could limit our remote work to telecommuting only, which is, again, those infrequent emergency situations where we need to continue with our services, but for whatever reason, they're not able to do so in the office. Option 2, telecommuting and hybrid remote. As a reminder, hybrid remote is they would be eligible to work from home on a scheduled part-time basis within a reasonable driving commuting distance. And then option 3 is telecommuting, hybrid remote, and virtual. And the virtual is where they would work from home fully 5 days a week or whatever their schedule may be. And our recommendation to the committee is that employees that report to county administration would go with option 2, which is the telecommuting and hybrid remote. We want to align it with the state's policy, which would be 2 days per week, cannot run concurrent with the weekend. Managers are not eligible for hybrid remote, but they may be able to telecommute with approval and when needed. Eligibility requirements will be based on the position, the employee's performance, and their tenure. And we want to be clear that it can be revoked or modified at any time and is not subject to the county's grievance policy because the county does have a grievance policy in place. Employees that serve at the pleasure of an elected official, approval for any work from home arrangements, which will be telecommuting, hybrid remote, or virtual, but to exclude out of state. And it would be at the discretion of the elected official. All county employees would still be expected to abide by county policies, laws, and regulations. And it'll be the responsibility of management, the employee and management or elected official to collaborate with HR, legal, finance, and risk to ensure that we are compliant with all labor laws when they are approving remote work virtual for their employees. So that brings us to next steps.
I had another question. If elected official, just so make sure I understand it, any additional costs for some of these things, if they're out of state, still going to be absorbed by the county budget? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we wouldn't, absolutely would have to come out of their budget.
Right. It'd be out of our budget that we give them.
It's out of the general fund, so it would be part of the millage, general fund millage.
How many employees do we have now total?
That are working virtually full-time out of state or?
Virtually
Yes.
full-time
Yeah.
out of state?
That I'm aware of, we have 4.
Or
4, that's it?
Yes.
I mean, virtual employees, period, that are just virtual.
Let me get that number to you, but I know it's safe to say it's less than 50 out of 1,300 employees.
but out of state?
It's not many, and
We're not talking Georgia, we're talking out
We're-
of state.
No. I'm talking, that could be virtual in-state or out-of-state. We don't have any employees outside of, I think, 4. One, it was 5, but I think a resignation occurred last week or week before. But we don't have any virtual employees out of state, outside of employees under one elected official.
Okay, thank you.
So looking at your second bullet there, I'm confused. It says approval for any work from home arrangements, telecommuting, virtual, excluding out of state will be at the direct discretion of the elected official. So what's out of state? At the discretion of whom?
So we are requesting that our policy will read that no out-of-state virtual work is allowed for any county employee. But
Even elected official employees.
The county employees that report to an elected official, yes, not the elected official themselves, but they are still county employees.
Well, by law, the elected official has to be in state.
Can we go to the next slide? Let you wrap up
Yeah.
your last part.
So this is where we are, is to receive any direction from council, specifically on the out-of-state virtual work. Should this be approved, we would need to engage with legal counsel to review the multi-state employment laws. Workers' comp coverage would need to be applied immediately, and tax obligations for immediate guidance to current employees. And then we would be able to revise the current policy to bring forth for adoption.
All right. Definitely a lot of information. We knew this was coming though. So any questions or concerns before we move on, before I have anything to say to it?
I have.
Really? All right. I'll address a couple things then. First statement was made that we don't pay for travel. I'm a firm believer in just because we're elected does not mean that we play by any different rules than anybody else. We currently do have a policy in place that does allow us to be online. That's something we adopted. But I've said it before, I don't consider any of us above any employee that works for the county. So with that said, there's a reason I don't take mileage. I haven't in 5 years. There's a reason I don't do it. I don't believe I should be paid to drive to a job that I signed up for. With that said too, I don't have a problem with the ability for our staff, if they're being successful and that job is allowing them to be hybrid, virtual, whatever it might be, if that can be produced that it's working. Now, when it's used as a sense of COVID, I think I've made myself very clear over the past 5 years where I stood on that. Obviously, to me, that's not an excuse. But I also know the cost if we bring those 50 employees in that we do not have space for them at the county. That's not a secret. We don't have the square footage for those employees. So what that cost would be for us to expand to bring them in is a whole nother discussion we'd have to have. My recommendation actually is sort of what you brought up. If we could bring that last or second to last slide up. Not a fan of the out-of-state employees. I'm sorry, I should have told you to keep it up. My apologies.
Well, and there was also the actual policy too. I bet she was getting ready for it, but yeah, we'll go back to this slideshow.
I'm assuming the policy is that second to last slide though, because that's your recommendation.
It was yes.
Yes, ma'am. Just so the public can see it and those online as well. Yeah, out-of-state employees is a very, very touchy subject. I said I don't hold ourselves any more accountable to it. Our county administrator is required to live here. I'm required to live here. All of us are required to live in our district. I do think it puts us on a slippery slope when we allow out-of-state employees to be 100% virtual. A very slippery slope. Anything with that's going to allow out-of-state, I can't support. With that said, I know we have virtual employees that do get work done. However, they've been able to get that done is done by the direction of their department head, the elected official, whoever it might be. I don't get in day-to-day operations. That's not my job. I think that's an overreach. But if we are being successful and things are getting done, I don't have a problem necessarily with the virtual aspect if they're a South Carolina resident. As long as when they're called, they need to come in and the administrator or that person that's over them still has the right to say, which I believe it is in there, that they can get rid of that for whatever reason they feel need be, whether it's performance, attitude, whatever it might be. That still gives that person that oversees them to right to ixnay that, or the county administrator to do that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't believe it's our job to dictate day-to-day operations. I think it's an overreach. I think that limits your guys' success, Sarah's success, the administrator's success, to take away tools that you might be able to use. So with that said, the policy you have up there allows for virtual, telecommunicating, hybrid, and excludes out of state. Then you have the only thing that gives us the gray area is the South Carolina restrictions.
So if I may, the policy, could we pull the policy? That might help a little. The policy we're recommending does allow for the hybrid remote work and the telecommuting. So going back to that definition of the three different types, it does not allow for virtual work for Beaufort County administration employees. For employees that report to an elected official, if they want virtual work for their employees working from home 5 days a week, that's at their discretion with the limitation that it is within South
State
Carolina.
of South Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. That was the only clarity I needed.
Okay.
Just because, again, I don't believe we should be dictating what elected officials do. Just like I said about the sheriff's department a minute ago, I believe my job is the answer to the funds that we give to them, not to tell them how to do their job. That's the voters' job to tell them how to do their jobs, not mine. So we do have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Oh.
It's a discussion.
Yeah, so I should-
This is listed as a resolution,
Yeah.
Right.
not a discussion.
Right.
This is listed as a
And the
resolution.
resolutions
to
for
county
the,
council.
I'm sorry, the resolutions for the draft policy that she's got in front of you right
Correct.
now, which contains what you talked about.
Yeah.
Can't drive it. If you want to come down a little.
This is a
So again,
resolution
we
that
have-
would go to county council for further discussion and then either thumbs up or thumbs down.
When this policy, which is different from what you saw in August and September, we're defining now because it was clear to me that we need definitions. We're defining your alternate workplace, your primary workplace, what is telecommuting, what is hybrid remote, what is virtual work, and you'll see at the bottom of that, employees that report to Beaufort County Administration are not eligible for virtual work. It's the desire of the administration that they are in the office at least half or more of their work schedule, but we're not excluding elected officials from virtual work so long as it's in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And if you'll come down a little more, Ashley. Reasonable commuting distance, we'd like to define that. A remote request form and an agreement that is always recommended to have on file for your employees that will be working remotely. And then we have some remote work rules. And I'll point out hybrid remote work limitations. If you are eligible for the hybrid remote work, you can do it up to 2 days a week. And it can't be consecutive on Monday and Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Friday and the following Monday. We have an on-site requirement. I think someone had mentioned, if they needed to be in the office, even though it's their remote day, that they are expected to come in for whatever that may be, whether it's training or meetings. If you'll come down a little more, Ashley. Compliance with laws, it's always important.
Right.
Eligibility for remote work is the same criteria we discussed. And then in here, it does state that the remote work process, employees who report to an elected official only require approval from their elected official, which I know was, something that came out of the last meeting that it should belong to the elected official to approve it. But we just want to be clear that we're only allowing virtual or remote work to employees within the state of South Carolina. I don't know if that answered, if that's.
No, I think you did it perfectly. I mean, we had to get the information out. We asked you to clarify these things. So we needed to have this discussion. I think the way it's drafted, it does not limit our elected official. It does not give us as 11 representatives or the amount that are here authority over any other jurisdiction. It still does not handcuff our senior staff or leadership staff to direct their staff for 2 days remotely a week if they need to, or whatever it might be. So I think it gives everybody the flexibility they need to be to continue to be successful in Beaufort County. So with that said, we do have a motion on the floor, first and second and already. Is there any other discussion before we call the roll?
Madam, Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me just to ask.
Of course.
Sure. Let me just tell you that I personally support what you have here, but I do respect elected officials. So I will lean toward that at this time. However, because we are adjacent to Georgia and you have in your policy the ability to work as long as you are 1 hour drive away, would that put me in Georgia?
So that goes back to, and that was part of the legal advice we received. If the employee is on the hybrid remote work where they're working in office 3 days a week and from home 2 days a week, South Carolina law prevails.
Okay.
So they'd be a Georgia resident, but fall in the jurisdiction of South Carolina.
Okay, so we'll leave Georgia alone at this time.
And Georgia's very similar to our state laws
Yeah.
too, so that was really.
I do have problems with out of state, other than Georgia. And I think that,
State.
I just can't justify out of state. However, as an elected official, that's my decision. I think we need to be transparent if this moves forward so that the elected official, if they decide to do this, need to publicize that they have employees, whether it's in Ohio or wherever, and they are paying X amount of dollars and it's costing X amount of dollars to maintain them because of Georgia's law. I think that burden should be on that elected official, not on council. I agree with what you have here, but if an elected official wants to hire somebody someplace else, that they should let the public know this is why, and they cannot find somebody else in South Carolina to do the work. That's where I am.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, do we need to extend this finance meeting?
I believe we're still good to go. It's at the conclusion of this meeting, the next one starts.
Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the way it's written, right, Sarah?
A lot of people.
The next meeting starts at the conclusion. I understand we have
Yeah.
an important agenda to still finish, though. All right, any other discussion?
No.
All right, do we need a roll call? Can this be sent to county council for further discussion without any objection? All right, this will be approved with no objection to move on to county council. Is this going to the next meeting?
It'll go into the November meeting.
November meeting. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. All right, we will keep on buzzing through these. We'll move on to the authorize the county administrator to implement an FY 2026 personal leave time buyback for employees. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
I'll make the motion to put that on the floor.
I'll second that.
And second by Ms. Brown. Ms. Mead, I'm assuming this is the same way we do it every year for them to be able to buy back.
That is correct. And
Okay.
we've worked with the finance department for funding. So nothing will change from the last 2 years with this program if it's approved by the committee to go forward to council.
Perfect. Do we have any objection to send this forward to council?
No.
This will be approved and moved forward to county council. C, designation of December 26, 2025 as an additional paid holiday for county employees. Do we have a motion to put this on the floor?
I'll make a motion. Oh,
And second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Howard. Perfect. Any discussion on this one? This is, again, we have done this years before. I believe Christmas falls on a Thursday this year, so this will allow Friday to extend into that as well and into the weekend.
That's correct.
And it makes real sense because it's a Friday.
100%.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other discussion, or can this be moved forward to county council?
Yes.
All right, we will approve that, and that will move forward to county council with no objection. All right, an ordinance recommending approval of a 2% state accommodations tax as presented by the state A-tax committee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the ATAX committee recommendations.
A second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
No, but Ken's here.
Perfect.
That's okay.
Do we have any questions for him to move this forward?
I have a comment,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair. So, as I said before, I sat in on these. I think the committee did a yeoman's job this year, asked a lot of questions. Unfortunately, I'm going to reiterate the same problem we had last year. We only had 5 members of the committee present, and for several of them, 2 had to recuse themselves, which means this grant is on 3 votes. Some of them were on 4 votes. That's not the fault of the committee. That's because we don't have members. But I will tell you, they dived into more discussion this year, and I was very impressed. I don't agree with all of them, but that's not up to me. You guys did a great job this year.
Thank you. Thanks for all your help.
Do I see any objection?
No, I'd like to hear from the chairman if he wants to say anything.
Well,
You
just,
don't have to now.
no, I'm fine. You guys have a long agenda and there was a lot of people waiting outside, so no problem.
Okay.
Happy to yield.
This will move forward to county council, correct?
Yes.
All right, I see this approved with no objection. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Coming, Ken.
All right,
Of course.
a resolution approving a proposed Beaufort County Economic Development Corp. expenditure of site and job funds as a 50% match on a State Department of Commerce site enhancement grant for the extension of natural gas infrastructure in Beaufort Commerce Park pending approval of the state grant award. We have a motion to put this on the floor.
So move.
A second?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Glover. All right.
I'm just gonna,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna hand this off to John O'Toole, but this is part of a state site enhancement program that they offer statewide to improve sites. The requirement by our new policies and procedures for site and job fund usage requires that improvement of properties requires county council approval, so to go to committee and council. And that's why John's here to ask for the money. It's a 50% match, so it allows us to leverage our dollars double by using state funds, but I'll leave the rest to John. Both the next two items go together. They're both the same parcel. One is for the gas, one is to actually build the pad site.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today, Mr. Chair, and council members. Just to give you an idea, in the last legislative session, the legislature earmarked or set $80 million aside to create shovel-ready sites throughout South Carolina. That's for acquisition, completing due diligence, building out infrastructure, clearing and grading of sites, and developing master plans. The idea is that our other states are doing this. I'll read you a quote from former chair of county council and state rep Weston Newton. We know that companies can go anywhere they want to. So if it takes a lot longer for an industry to get set up here, they will go somewhere else. Our state is committed to economic growth and business development in a major way, and the legislature will do whatever it takes to ensure we are ready for business and industry to move and expand here. West Newton. So what we had previously done, we have done pad sites and taken advantage of this program in the past. In fact, the second agenda item, which is a pad site, it'll be about a $400,000 project. The state, we anticipate, we won't spend a cent unless the state is our partner in both of these projects. So it's not only our due diligence that this is a good move. But to give you a sense, on lot AA, which is in the map you see in your packet, back in 2019, we received one of these site enhancement grants for $200,000. We spent an additional $133,000 out of the site and job fund account. As Hank mentioned, today we're following a new protocol, which is great, which gives you clear vision on how we're using these funds. But we spent $333,000 to do a 25,000 square foot pad, as we're proposing today. Right now, there's a $35 million investment being put on that pad by Masters Corp. So the state of South Carolina is basically earmarking $80 million to allow counties to do this across the state. And if you look at it, what we're trying to do is, one, make sure our sites are ready for growth. As Wes Newton said, when they want to make a decision, they want to make a decision. So your sites have to be ready. What we're trying to do is get some of those state tax dollars to flow back into Beaufort County to help us do that. And I might add that on the larger of the two, it would be up to 200,000. I anticipate we might get in a grant another grant from another source to offset $100,000 of that. So that is in the works right now. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. In order to compete, you have to have gas in the park. In order to compete, you have to have sites ready to go, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right, we'll open it up for discussion.
I like, go ahead.
You go first. Go ahead, Paul.
John, it's nice to see you back here again.
Thank you.
So we're a 50% match, so you take the 65,000, the 200,000, and that's 30 million? Am I getting that right?
No, it wouldn't be millions.
Are we nearly giving $500,000 to encourage a business to locate in the Commerce Park? Is that what we're doing?
There are two, basically what we would do is run the gas line down one street. And just to do the math on that, that would be for a total expenditure of It's right in there, 65 times 2. And then the other expenditure is 400,000 total. We would only spend this if the state matches half of it.
Okay.
$265,744.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Why isn't the company that's coming in doing, paying for this? Why are we paying for it?
We get to do economic development in a state that's wildly successful at doing economic development. It recognizes that the sites have to be ready. If you see, and we do smaller projects in Beaufort County because we are very conscious of the environment's important in Beaufort County. But a Scout Motors, a Boeing, a BMW, even the what was it? The failed Panthers deal. A lot of times money is spent ahead of time to make sure that when somebody wants to plant seed, the soil's ready to go. And so that's pretty much South Carolina's success.
I understand that.
Consistently ranked at 1, 2, or 3 best states in the nation to do business. So this is their approach. And if you choose to, we'll engage in that and be the beneficiary of it by getting, in this case, $265,000 in state tax to help us make the sites shovel ready.
So do we have the company already coming here? We already know who they are? Or are we just doing this hoping that someone's gonna come to this?
It's speculative.
Oh, yes.
It's speculative. With one exception, we have a company out of New York seriously considering Lot D. So that gas line will extend down Short Road. The company's right now bidding to see what it's going to cost them to build that facility on Lot D. On Lot K, which is along that stretch as well, we have 3 different developers looking at building a spec building there. And so on the pad and the gas line, we probably have a company that is going to be intrigued to make that investment because we're doing these things.
Okay, so we've been to this conversation many times, but economic development to me is a company that I'm going to give you an example because I'm an example type person. So a company came from someone that owned a company in New York used to come here on vacation to Hilton Head. This is many years ago. And he loved the area so much, he brought his company here. But the county didn't pay for all this stuff for him to come here, the gas line or whatever. The land was donated by somebody, a private individual. And he brought his company here to Bluffton, South Carolina, and created a lot of jobs. I don't feel that we should be giving money out to people. I mean, putting this money out unless we have someone that's actually going to go in there and create jobs.
If I may respond, and you have the map up, I believe you can see it from where you're sitting. On Lot AA, I mentioned that we spent $133,000 building a pad there, just half of what they needed. So, and then to clean up the site, we spent another $20,000. So let's just say we spent $153,000 on Lot AA. And I heard your conversations earlier with Mr. Wells about return on investment. So you spent $153,000 on Lot AA, and today somebody's investing $35 million. If that doesn't pass your return of your expectations for return of investment, then I wouldn't approve these. But if that's the model you'd like to follow, if that's the state of South Carolina's successful model, then we've got a pretty good deal if they approve these grants.
She's through.
I'm finished.
Where does the gas line end now?
Right now, it's at the corner of Shine Loop and Short Road. So we would expect to extend it down Short Road.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Spec buildings has been a concern among council previously, since I've been on council, there have been questions about spec buildings. And council, when I first got on board, did not want to invest in spec buildings. Since Colleton County had a spec building on a pad ready to go, the company came and promised 250 jobs. They wanted to come to Beaufort, but Beaufort didn't have anything for them at that time. Since that time, that company has employed more than 300 people there. That's the kind of business that I thought we were going to get here in Beaufort, but we did not have something to offer those companies. This will give Mr. O'Toole and the economic development, as far as I'm concerned, a site that they can market. And people wanted to come to Beaufort. That company that went to Colleton wanted to come to Beaufort, but Beaufort didn't have anything to offer. So I support a spec building because I believe that you will find a company or companies to come and occupy those buildings in Beaufort.
And I think in fairness to Councilperson Brown, the profile of a Beaufort County investor is exactly what Councilperson Brown has identified. It's somebody who owns a company, and then when they need to move, they're looking for a site pretty quickly. As you see in Jasper County, with the buildings, millions of square feet are built there. You've got larger companies, largely distribution companies that want to be near the Savannah port. They have site selectors, they have corporate real estate executives, they have people who can study this for a long time before the decision is made. The profile of our investors is exactly as been described. It's a closely held company that when they need to move, they need to find a space quickly. And if you look at MRG up on the map from out of New Jersey, if you look at Norman Corp that's in the Magna Spec building out of Texas, they needed to move quickly. With a lot of things going on at the federal level, tariffs and everything else, we have a company right around the corner that is going to consolidate operations out of Canada, Brazil, and Italy to Beaufort County because of what's going on the national level. So if the state would partner on this, I think it's a good bet. If the state doesn't approve these grants, we wouldn't spend a penny.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the pad site, that's $200,744. I don't believe in the spec building. I don't think this is a good use of taxpayer funds. This is direct use of taxpayer funds. We don't give it to developers when they want to make a community. And I hear what you're saying about bringing prospective companies, but looking at the data, we're not bringing in high-paying jobs. Where are they? A cleaning company and some of these others are not high-paying. They're in the 40, if you're lucky, 40,000. We're supposed to be looking for high-paying jobs. Like first thing on our list is aerospace and some of the others. That's not what we're bringing in. So I'm not sure why this is a good investment of public money, and I'll be voting no on this.
If I may, though, I mean, you sit on our board.
Yep.
Every time we put up our scorecard, we show you the average job. Right now, I believe we're just over 58,000 per job, and that's with some lower paying jobs in the blend. But we just since January, our average job has gone up $6,000 on average. That includes everything we've done over 8 years. So we were put in place to diversify Beaufort County's economy. If you look at, and I don't know if you attended our prosperity in practice, but we had Greg Robinson here, who does grew up on Hilton Head, does economic development very successfully, had done it in Orangeburg, now in Florence, follows this model and is creating a good high-paying jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. I will be honest, I share the same concerns. I think we've already built a product in Beaufort County. We have ports coming. We built infrastructure. We have the airport. We have things that are already bringing people here. $260,000 to enhance this site. I guess my one question would be the gas line. Is it going to fill the entire property?
it would run down the street and serve many lots, not one property. And
I'm saying the entire,
No.
the white line all the way around. What's
no,
left?
it wouldn't come up Schwartz Road.
So I guess my question would be, why wouldn't we just do this all at one time if we were gonna do it?
Because the state has $80 million. I believe they've received 300 applications. And so we try to work with the state through each successive a grant cycle to put something that would be digestible, could be accomplished. And so we didn't put in for the whole park and could do that in a subsequent round. If I could just underscore it, think about lot AA though, and it may not be, and I understand if you're a fiscal conservative, but if you could put $153,000 of your own money into a project and create a $35 million taxable property, that's what you're competing with, not just in South Carolina, but in Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, wherever.
I had one more question.
Mhm.
The Gardens Corner project, what's the average salary for that one?
That will ultimately be 125,000.
And it's aerospace logistics. correct?
Yes,
How many jobs are those?
35.
Yep.
Thank you.
And how much did we invest in it?
200,000.
It's existing building.
Hmm.
There's existing site and building.
Yes.
Yeah, renovation.
Well, thank you for, oh, sorry.
Speaking of economic development, over the past 12, 15 years, prior to John coming in, we didn't have anything here in Beaufort County that actually, quote unquote, met what we call economic development status as far as good paying jobs. And so the council at that time embarked upon bringing in, establishing the Economic Development Corporation. And then we, Alice, I don't think you were on board at the time, but then we, board then hired John as the director.
Just came on when he was hired.
Okay, all right. And so we have made vast improvement on the economic development front prior to where we were of John and the corporation being stood up. And so John has said it, and we've seen it work over the years. In order for us to attract businesses here in Beaufort County, we got to have a site that's ready. That's what the developers are looking for. That's the practice that's in economic development. When we look at Charleston County, when we look at Greenville and some other counties upstate who are actually bringing industries into South Carolina, that's how they're doing it. And so we're behind the 8 ball. We're trying to play catch up. And so for us to say that John's not doing a good job or he's not bringing qualified business into the county, I think that's an understatement.
Oh, John.
Mr. Passiment?
Yes, these two go together. The $80 million from the state, we're competing against all kinds of land that's available for industrial sites. A 25,000 square foot pad, I'm not sure, is enough space for an industrial site. I know you've said, John, this is a no loss for us. This is just moving ahead, doing certain things, but I'm not sure we're competitive on the industrial part.
The company that we are courting for Lot D is a incumbent company in Beaufort County, but they would be looking to move operations from New York to Beaufort County. It is absolutely an industrial prospect.
Yeah, but you just said Lot D. We're talking about Lot AA.
Right, Lot AA is a service company that's investing $35 million.
How many lots available are already ready to be built on that pad?
In that park?
In that park, how many of them are already with gas that are not built on? That are still available?
One without gas.
All right, any other discussion?
Thank you.
So one clarification, you already have someone who's going to come to AA? Lot AA?
They're just about to open the operation up. They've invested $35 million there. I hope this is clear, and you can drive, I'd be happy to take anyone through the park, but there's a company that's just about to close in the building and begin to hire over 160 employees at Lot AA.
So there is a pad there now?
There's a pad, there's a structure on top of it, the machinery's in the building, and they're ready to hire.
Okay, so the site map, the one in the back is the one we're talking about expanding the pad that's in the front then?
It's a duplication of what was done at Lot AA, we would do at Lot D.
Oh, my D, which is not next to that one. It's
No,
further down.
it's down the street.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, can we have a roll call, please, for this first one?
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
No.
Chair Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tabernik,
No.
Councilmember Passiment,
No.
Committee Vice Chair Cunningham.
No.
The motion fails.
All right, we will move on to the next one. A resolution approving a proposed Beaufort County Economic Development Corp. expenditure of site and funds as a 50% match on a State Department of Commerce site enhancement grant in order to construct and permit a pad site in the Beaufort County Commerce Park pending approval of state grant award. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
A motion?
All right, a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Do we need any more discussion? I know these kind of go hand in hand. All right, take a roll call again, Sarah, if you don't mind.
Yep, hold on 1 second.
Mr. Chair, just to be clear, that motion to recommend, the motion before on the last item was recommending to council that it not be approved. So it's going to council.
Still going to council.
Right.
Correct. This one as well, both of those items will go to council. It's just going to go to council with the voting record showing what came out of this committee meeting.
Correct.
Correct. I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussions. I'm sure there were some questions as well. And I'm sure Mr. O'Toole also can give us some more of the information that Mr. Passiment brought up for discussion.
Councilmember Brown,
What do we vote? I'm sorry.
You're on the 200,000 one.
No?
F.
No, oh, I'm sorry, no.
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
Yes.
Chair Howard,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tabernik,
No.
Councilmember Passiment,
No.
Committee Vice Chair Cunningham.
No.
The motion fails.
All right, and as we just stated, both of those will still go to county council on the November meeting for further discussion. It's just going to have the voting record from this committee to it. All right, we'll move on to G, a resolution to approve recommendations to award FY26 Community Services Grant Program funds in the amount of $398,000 to community service organizations. We have a motion to put this on the floor.
So move.
And a second, please.
Second that?
Ms. Brown with the second. Hi, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon.
Doing well. Mr. Boswell, correct?
Yes, Director of Beaufort County Human Services. We administrate this program on behalf of County Council. This is for $398,000 that are put aside in a public welfare account. The account number has been provided on the agenda item summary. These funds have been set aside every year, and it's been $398,000, I think, since 2018. And so on behalf of council, we accept applications. We accepted 53 applications this year with total requests exceeding $3.5 million. And so with only $388,000 to distribute, our committee had to make a lot of difficult choices. So, but those recommendations are presented in the resolution.
All right, open it up for discussions and questions. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to make comment, then I'm going to need to recuse myself because I serve on the board of one of your grantees. But my comment is, I question why we are setting aside almost $400,000 I know this started in 2013, but I believe we need to revisit this program. We are spending taxpayer funds for nonprofit organizations where taxpayers could donate on their own. For example, Second Helpings, I'm just making that one up. That's up to the public to decide to donate. I don't believe they pay property tax to tell county to decide how to donate to nonprofits. So that's my comment, and then I recuse myself because I'm on state.
I'd like to make a contrary comment. These groups, I give to some of these groups personally, Kappa, Salvation Army, some of the others, that is up to each individual. These organizations barely get by sometimes. This system was set up many years ago by Fred Lyda and others to bring these groups together so that they don't go individually to council members trying to get money from county funds. I'd rather see it increase, to tell you the truth, because these organizations do things that nobody else can do, and the county can't do them. The county cannot administer a program like Hopeful Horizons, which helps sexually abused children. And I think it's our duty to help them when we can. They also apply for state funds and get state matching dollars. They also apply for grants from other groups, and they do the work, the good work that the county can't pick up these services. That's my only statement.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm affiliated with one of the groups. I need to withdraw my second motion. I made the motion.
Okay.
Withdraw and recuse.
Yes, sir. Do we have a second from somebody else to put this back on the floor for
Oh,
discussion?
second, I
He was
second.
the first. We need another first.
Oh, he was the first. Okay.
Just to be clear, you can say you have a conflict with an individual organization, so you
Sure.
exclude that organization as opposed to all of them.
I'm with them, to be completely honest.
I'm recusing all of them.
All right, so
I'm sorry.
we need a first to put it on the floor, then another second since he had to withdraw his first. So will you withdraw your second first off?
All first?
Okay, I'm
That's
first.
Okay. Will you withdraw your second?
Okay, I withdraw my second.
And then
I'll become
motion.
first.
And then do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. All right. Back on the floor. Any other discussion?
I mean,
Go ahead.
I've already said my piece. These organizations do things that nobody else can do or is doing, or the county would have to pick it up if we didn't have these organizations, and they're nonprofits. So that's my only statement.
I guess I have a question, and maybe it's education for me. These organizations, are they allowed to apply to any of our other programs?
Give an example of what you're talking about.
I mean, do any of them qualify for any of like our?
You're below quorum right now.
Yeah,
The recusals are below quorum.
Oh, you need a quorum to vote?
We don't have a quorum?
To
Five.
vote?
Tag in.
He's not a member.
you're not on the committee.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, you mean,
Neither.
you need a quorum on the
We
committee?
would need this.
Lost two members of the four that we had.
I didn't realize that we had to do that.
They've recused themselves.
Yeah, but I didn't think you lose the
Joe's on
ability
the
to
screen.
vote.
Yes, you do. You've fallen below quorum, so you can't act on this item.
Okay.
That's why I made the point that you could recuse yourself for an individual organization, not for the entire list.
Okay, as the author of the motion, I like
Yes.
to withdraw my motion, and if you allow me, Mr. Chairman, I can make an amendment to the motion, which is to exclude,
You can take no action on this item.
say again?
You can take no action on this item. You're below quorum.
Okay, let me ask
Okay.
you this. If he removes his first and his second, it's no longer on the floor. Let me finish. Can we take a motion to remove it from the agenda and put it onto the next to the community services meeting?
No, you can't take a motion on this item because you're below quorum, but the natural consequence will be that it will roll forward to the next committee meeting.
When they're.
Okay.
Look forward to the next committee meeting.
Brian,
Wow.
if they
That's-
withdraw the motion
Then it's not on the floor, which means they're back on.
and then
They've recused themselves though.
yeah,
From
but
this
that's from
item.
from taking action to
Yes.
approve it, but not to move it.
Any action on this item they can't take. No motion. They are conflicted out from this based upon their declaration, they have a conflict and they've recused themselves. So you only have 2 members of the actual committee to make up the quorum. You need 3. So you below a quorum, so you can't act on this. So it'll just naturally flow to the next committee item unless the chair chose to put it on council's agenda without going to committee, which would be against.
Yeah, I will not do that.
Okay.
All right, item G, we'll move forward to our next finance administration meeting then.
But Mr. Chairman, if you do that, you got 2 members already.
We would have to assume that Mr. Lawson would be here, then we would meet the threshold for,
Presuming he doesn't recuse himself,
yeah.
Yeah.
which is why I would invite the council members to consider the point that I made, that you can recuse yourself to an individual organization and not vote on the grant to that organization, but you can still vote on all the other organizations.
Then we'd have to take them individually.
You could just
No, you
make
can-
sure your vote was that you're not voting on this organization is all you would have to say. So your vote would apply to all the other recommendations as opposed to the one that you conflicted out on.
What's the time frame that you would need this for the smooth?
I mean, depends on how soon you want to get the grants out to the agencies. The next step, upon approval, after council approval, we send out agreements to the agencies to sign. I mean, we just knock it down a month or 2.
Okay, I'll be completely honest with you. You had a chance of this not making it to county or passing approval today anyways. It is going to move forward to G. G is going to move forward to the next finance administration committee meeting in November. Do we have the date on that, Sarah?
17.
17th, with the hope that Mr. Lawson will be here for that, so we will be able to meet quorum.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, move on back to H. Authorization to create a purchase order for maintenance on MD dash 500 mosquito control helicopter. Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
A motion.
And a second, please.
I'll second it.
All righty. Any discussion, Mr. Robinson? I know we've done this before in the past.
Only if you have any questions. This is a simple maintenance contract. Maintenance contract by way of a purchase order because it exceeds administrator committee has to go to council for approval.
Okay.
How old is this helicopter?
I know we purchased it in 1995. How old is it, Ron?
1980.
1980.
So it's
1980.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is not uncommon for aircraft to last many, many years because they require lots and lots of maintenance.
All right. Do we have any objection for this to move forward to county council? He is correct. It does meet the threshold that needs approval.
That's correct.
All right. This will move forward to county council. And with that said, if there's nothing else, this will close out our meeting. We will take a recess. I'm going to give people a good 10 minutes if we could. It was a long meeting. So 4:40, we'll come back to start the next committee meeting.